welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Natasha Martinez, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news in the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us today is Dennis Zen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Collider Movie Talk. I'm sad that my Kings lost last night, but I'm happy that it's Friday and we're here to talk about some movie news.
Also here to talk with us, Mark Ellis.
Oh, it was hockey playoffs last night? I'm focused on the NBA playoffs. This Saturday and Sunday it kicks off. Go, Spurs, go. Sorry, Warriors.
And back in Los Angeles, Perri Nemiroff.
I am back, and I'm back with some better posters for my office, so I think that's the most important thing.
Oh,
here.
you got rid of the Transformers one we gave you?
It had to go. Transformers and what was it, 300?
300 Rise of an Empire. Not even the original 300, the 300 Rise of the Empire.
You know, you try to do something nice for somebody, and it comes back in your face.
Yeah, but I'd like to welcome Perri. Perri, you are now officially part of the Collider video team. You're not here visiting out from New York. You've moved here to LA.
It's weird to think that I actually live here now and that I have an office. I love being with you guys. One of the best parts about having an office, though, and you probably know, is that now I have more room for my Mondo posters and more room for my Funko products.
Yes. The big question is, does the apartment complex you moved into, are they aware that you actually have a cat, or is it a stowaway?
They are totally aware, because the only way I was going to move into that apartment is that they had a cat sitter. So now, like, there's
a cat sitter.
There's a cat sitter, like, lady that lives in the complex. So when I go away, I just let her know, and she comes and she feeds Dewey once or twice.
Crazy cat lady has been taken to another level. Wow.
Yeah. Well, we're happy that you're here and part of the team now. Before we get to our regular scheduled program, we had one thing drop. The Birth of a Nation teaser trailer dropped. If you guys don't remember, Natasha, why don't you fill us in on what happened?
Sure thing. Fox Searchlight Pictures has released the very first trailer for the Sundance Grand Jury Prize-winning Birth of a Nation by writer, producer, director, and star Nate Parker. The film tells the true story of Nat Turner, a literate slave and preacher who was used to calm other slaves in neighboring plantations using his sermons, and who subsequently led a bloody uprising that inspired a nation. The film also stars Armie Hammer, Aja Naomi King, Penelope Ann Miller, and Jackie Earle Haley. The Birth of a Nation opens in theaters on October 7th. Dennis, what did you think of the first trailer for Birth of a Nation?
I really liked it. I actually am not too familiar with the storyline, so I didn't know that he was someone that was there and hired kind of to calm the other slaves down. I thought he was like a slave like the rest of them, and then he caused this rebellion, but apparently he saw what was going on. Very powerful images, especially the one with the kid having the noose around the other kid and dragging him around. Song was really powerful. Jackie Earle Haley in it looks very creepy. I think he's going to knock it out of the park in this one. Mark, what do you think?
I mean, this is the trailer that I was excited to see. I was a little apprehensive of watching because of the subject matter, because of the history involved, but my God, this thing is so powerful. It is the perfect time that this movie is coming out in October, right in the heart of Oscar season, with Nate Parker as a guy who I've had my eye on since I saw him in Arbitrage with Richard Gere. He was great in that movie, and I'm like, I want to see this guy do more, and he looks like a front runner for an Academy Award nomination for everything that he had to do with this movie. And I think the best part about this trailer is that it is being released in theaters, because remember when it was at Sundance, they got all these offers from different studios. The highest bidder was Netflix. And they said, no, we're not going to do Netflix. This was a movie that needs to be seen in theaters to a wide audience in that way. And I think it was the right decision to take less money to get this thing out into theaters.
Perri?
Yeah, I think this is an absolutely incredible teaser trailer. I mean, it goes to what you said a little bit about not knowing what the story was, but this teaser, it's a teaser trailer, not even a full trailer, but it still so clearly conveys the basics of the story without being like, you know, something along the lines of narration, like way back when, this is what happened, but you still get all the information. But what takes me like aback more so than anything in this is the imagery. Like, look at that. Look at how many planes there are to that image. Look at all the lighting in there. I mean, that whether it's like scapes of the field or whether it's handheld work in small spaces. I mean, this thing is gorgeous. It's really chilling, and I mean, it's got a really horrific quality to it. And I think this is going to be pretty incredible.
Yeah, that end shot that's shown here kind of reminds me of Gangs of New York, kind of the sequence in the beginning and the end of the film.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
It does look a little like that.
Right, just that speech that he's giving the last half of the trailer, it's just so moving, it's so powerful. This thing is, I think it's going to crush the Academy Awards. I think it's going to mean a lot to a lot of people when it comes out in October.
All right, let's move on to our first topic.
Avatar director James Cameron has now been working on a sequel to the #1 box office title for what seems like a decade now. So it was a surprise to everyone in attendance at this year's CinemaCon in Las Vegas when James Cameron offered up another update, this time announcing 4 sequels that will hit theaters starting in 2018. Avatar 2 is due Christmas 2018 with Avatar 3 due in Christmas 2020. Avatar 4 will come Christmas 2022 with Avatar 5 rounding out Christmas 2023. This news seems to have divided the fans across the internet, with some looking forward to the 4 new movies in the franchise, while others are saying it's a bit of overkill. Dennis, are you looking forward to 4 more Avatar movies starting in 2018?
Well, this story broke yesterday, kind of towards the end of Movie Talk while we were doing it live, and we covered it a little bit, but I kind of want to talk more about it. I'm actually one of the people that are not on this bandwagon of, right now it's really cool to like bash on Avatar. I really like the movie, and I still really like the movie. And however, after saying that, I'm not exactly looking forward to 4 more of these. I think a sequel, 1 or maybe 2 to like make a trilogy, but 4 is a big number. And the question is, does Fox have like a kill button, like where maybe if the second or third one don't do as well, can they just axe the project? Because these are expensive movies to make, because everything is built much like the Jungle Book that opened this weekend. Everything, the whole environment is built in CG, and there's very little actual live action stuff. So if those first 2 don't make that much money, are they going to keep proceeding with it? Mark?
I mean, I've never really cared that much about going back to Pandora. I didn't really get excited when I heard that James Cameron's making a new trilogy, and now he's throwing another movie on top of there, and I still am like, okay, fine. I'll get excited when I'm in a theater. I'm like, oh, cool, we're going back. It's Avatar 2, sweet. The pressure is on that movie, Dennis. As you mentioned, when that movie comes out, that has to not only, ingratiate us with this world again, but it also has to give us some sort of story going forward. I think that was the complaint that a lot of people had seeing Avatar, is that visually it's spectacular. It kind of turns into like this reality where you're like, am I watching a video game? Is this really happening? It was a pretty cool theater experience, but the story was like, okay, we can kind of see where it's going. So you need to do something really interesting and inventive with Avatar 2 if you're going to make me want to go back and see this world 3 more times. That's a lot. And for a guy like James Cameron, it's like the guy can do so much with film. He's got such a great track record. This is what you're going to be spending your time on for the next decade? Okay. I mean, you could probably help out that Terminator franchise that you started, or maybe do something with aliens, but all right, Avatar, fine.
Yeah, 4 is a pretty big number here, but the part that strikes me is 2023. I mean, how stupid does that date sound? Are we really talking about a movie that's coming out in 2023? And yeah, I liked Avatar when it came out in theaters. The technology is incredible, but I never wanted to rewatch it. I mean, out of curiosity, have you guys rewatched Avatar since it came out?
Yeah,
oh,
I have.
All right.
I have not seen it in any format other than the theater. I saw it in the theater, and I was like, wow, that was something special. And I mean, I've maybe caught bits and pieces on TV, but I just never felt compelled to go watch it again. That's not in that huge IMAX theater experience. I mean, I'll take Dennis's recommendation and I'll check it out again. Plus, we got 4 of these things, so I got to do some research. But just hasn't really, it pulled me back in.
I keep meaning to rewatch it again, but every single time I'm about to sit down and do it, it's like, oh, it's delayed. We're not really doing it. Yeah. Oh, let's change it from 2 more movies to 3 more movies to 4 more movies. Oh no, theme park. Oh no, show. I mean, I can't keep track of it all, and I've kind of at this point, regardless of how I feel about Avatar, the first film, I've just lost my patience. I hope they stick to the schedule, because if not, I mean, a big eye roll for James Cameron.
Yeah, definitely the story was something that wasn't original and we've seen before and kind of know. But definitely the visuals were spectacular. The action was great in it. And I feel like, James Cameron has a pretty good track record with sequels. I mean, he made Aliens. He made Terminator 2. Let's see what happens with Avatar 2. Maybe when it comes out, maybe we'll really like it and want another one. Or maybe it comes out and we're like, whatever. So it's interesting. That sequel is really going to determine maybe the rest of like his... I don't know, because how old is he? He's like 60-something right now?
He's probably in his 60s,
so,
but, spends a lot of time deep-sea diving. He's in pretty good shape for a 60-year-old.
Yeah, so by the time, let's say he does all of these, he's going to be pretty old. Like, is this what he wants to kind of spend maybe the last bits of his career with.
Well, George Miller was 73, so I think that James Cameron's like, oh, if that guy can do that at that age, I can do whatever the hell I want for the next decade. But I don't even remember what happened at the end of Avatar. Like, I'm trying to think in my head, what happened, who won, who survived, who didn't, and I don't remember it. Like, I should remember this.
Sam Worthington became a blue person.
Oh, good for him. He's a Smurf.
Natasha, are you looking forward to Avatar, the sequel?
I definitely will go and watch the sequel, the second of the now 4. But I agree with you. I think that how that comes to be will determine whether I stay along for the whole ride. But, I enjoyed the film. I thought it was gorgeous. I liked the storyline, but it was a really long time ago. I hardly remember the ending. So we'll see. I'm interested, but 4 does sound a bit exhausting.
Yeah, and then he says it's standalone. Does that mean like we're going to have different actors in each one or different?
I think he means that each film is going to have a narrative that can stand alone, but then it can all come together to create this one big saga, like a big cinematic universe. They're all going to connect in some way. So I'm assuming it's going to be the same cast. Maybe they'll focus on different characters, but the characters can move from film to film.
All right, 4 anthology movies. Let's do it. I'm back. Pandora. Let's rock.
All right, guys. Now we're on to buy or sell. Natasha, what's up first?
Lionsgate unveiled the first footage from John Wick Chapter 2 at CinemaCon yesterday, and no surprise, received a huge positive reaction. The audience hit Twitter faster than a bullet, with many reps from their outlet saying how much crazy action is involved. Some of the more excited reactions included Slash Films' Peter Soretta calling it more cinematic looking with bigger action, JoeBlow.com saying it looks every bit as badass as you hoped, and our own Steve Frosty Weintraub saying he was happy to report that John Wick had plenty of great action moments, with Rome providing a more cinematic and beautiful backdrop. Perri, buy or sell the positive reaction from the John Wick Chapter 2 footage?
I buy it because there's no puppy murder. Seriously, it took me so long to sit down and watch this movie because Steve was ranting and raving about it, and he kept telling me, you have to watch this movie. John Wick's incredible. It's going to be a big thing. And finally, I sat down and watched it, and he also kept telling me, that happens early in the movie, and it drives the whole narrative, which it does, but that didn't stop me from crying. I want to say throughout the entire first act of the movie. I must have been tearing, and now I'm really excited that we're kind of just focusing on him, like kicking the crap out of other people. And the fact that the footage looks great, I mean, wonderful. I like John Wick. I like the character. If you go on the YouTube channel on Collider.com, Steve does a great interview with Keanu Reeves, and Keanu Reeves just seems so pumped and hyped about this movie, so that kind of enthusiasm is really infectious, so I'm buying it for sure.
Mark?
Yeah, when I saw the first John Wick, I didn't have a girlfriend, and so I didn't meet her dog yet. So I was like, yeah, okay, the dog died, it's sad, but let's go kick some ass. This one, now it's going to be a lot more emotional if there is some sort of creature that gets murdered early in the movie. But I totally buy this. I mean, this is everything that we hoped John Wick 2 would be, that we go back and it's bigger, it's better, it's more action, it's more violent. I love how cool Rome is going to look as the backdrop for all of these adventures that John Wick's going on. So, yeah, I mean, this is easy for me.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it as well. I really like the first one, and obviously Steve Frosty Weintraub, who's the editor-in-chief of Collider.com, likes it a lot. That's why he has those interviews with Keanu Reeves. I don't know what the motivation is going to be. I don't think it's going to be as compelling as the puppy murder revenge story, which is kind of the basis of that spoof of Keanu with Key and Peele. But I also like the fact that they're in Rome now, because the one thing about John Wick, the first one, while I loved it, it was set kind of like, it was like garages, warehouses, a club, a dock. Like, visually, those weren't exactly exciting places. It was cool for the setting, but we don't want to see that again. So this time, if it's in Rome and we get some nice, cool, beautiful backdrops, all the better.
What sort of animal did you have to cap in order to get John Wick to go to Rome? Like, that's a big. Did they steal like an elephant? Like, what did they do that pisses off John Wick so much that he's got to go to Rome? I can't wait to find out.
It's actually going to be a Jungle Book crossover.
They killed Bagheera? What?
It's actually also important to note that he kind of hinted in the interview, Keanu Reeves that is, that the Continental Hotel, the Assassin's Hotel, is going to be in this to some extent. He didn't exactly say, like flat out say, we're going to have the Assassin's Hotel, but he definitely nodded in a way that, would make you think that it's going to be woven into the new narrative. And that was my favorite part of John Wick.
Yeah, you got to have some mention of the Continental in there. I want that thing to be like Holiday Inns. I want the Continentals all over the world, and I want John Wick to visit as many as we can possibly get.
And did he kind of hint at a third movie as well?
Well, yeah. Steve asked if he would be willing and eager to continue, and he said something along the lines of, obviously I didn't write down one of the most important quotes in the thing. Yeah, I did not write that down. But he said something along the lines like, I love this character and we do want to, leave the door open to explore it more without flat out saying, yeah, we're making John Wick 3, which is probably the smart way to go about it.
Yeah,
Sweet.
they want to see how it does.
Yeah,
Of
let's
course.
get John Wick over to Pandora and then just tie those universes together. Somebody from the Na'vi can die, one of those pterodactyls that you plug your tail into, then John Wick has to go find revenge.
Hey, if it was under Sony's banner, that might happen with their MIB Jump Street.
That boy can dream.
Yes. All right, what's next?
Jason Statham has signed on to lead the Warner Brothers creature feature Meg, which will pit his character against a giant prehistoric shark. National Treasure Helmer John Turteltaub is set to direct the adventure film, which finds a 60-foot megalodon, the prehistoric ancestor of the great white shark, feeding on swimmers along the China coast. No details are known about Statham's character as of yet, nor is there a release date. Mark, do I even need to ask you, buy or sell Jason Statham and Meg?
Biggest buy in the history of buys, ladies and gentlemen. Jason Statham versus a shark. Who doesn't want to see that movie? Seriously, sit down and think about it. You guys know how much I love great whites to the point when I want them to be the way that I leave this world. When we talk about the predecessor to the Great White, which was even bigger, and now Jason Statham, the action star of today, has to go toe-to-toe. Will his sunglasses stay on when he's swimming underwater? Will the shark have lasers attached to it? There's so many great things about this movie.
All of the above.
Take all my money right now. You can have it, Meg.
Well,
God.
look at the
I'm
cool
cracking
picture
up
that,
at that
Ray
picture.
made, that graphic. You're totally on board. I'm also gonna buy it. I think it's a good fit. I mean, Jason Statham. We've most recently seen him in those weird and strange LG phone ads where he's like playing every single character, and it's really strange. So something like this, maybe that's in his wheelhouse. He was one of the best things about Spy, and yeah, I hope he roundhouse kicks a shark in the face.
Yes,
Yeah.
everybody's done underwater karate before. Somebody who actually knows martial arts. This movie's going to be a blockbuster.
As long as they do it tongue in cheek and they know what kind of movie they're making, and they don't actually try and make it a serious movie.
I will go against you 100,000%.
You want
yes.
them to be dead serious.
I
No.
do not want this to be a Sharknado
man.
where it's like, oh, we know we're making a B movie. This is not a B movie, damn it. This is an A+ movie. I want everybody to take this thing as seriously as the shark is going to take it. That's how seriously I want the crew and cast to take this movie. This is a real action movie. We got sharks, and they're fighting Jason Statham.
I doubt it's going to be a Sharknado, but at the same time, I was a little upset when I heard that Eli Roth was off of it because I got so invested in like picturing this as his type of film, like super bloody and insane like that. But having John Turteltaub direct it, it's probably going to hit like the perfect middle point between a Sharknado and a scary shark movie. Something. I don't even want to say Piranha 3D because that's even a little too intense with the comedy. But like give me Death Race, but with Jason Statham killing sharks. I don't like something with that kind of tone. That's what I want here. And that has to be what we're gonna get.
There's got to
right?
be some humor in it, right? I mean,
Well, spy type humor would be great. Imagine his character in Spy killing sharks in this.
like I don't want him to be jokey. Like I want him to play it straight, but it to be funny because he's playing it straight.
I want no one taking this movie anything less than 100% seriously.
So you want it to be like an Oscar contender, like they're trying to win some Oscars here.
I mean, Dennis, you look at the pantheon of great films over time. You have Citizen Kane, you have The Godfather, and you have Jason Statham versus a giant prehistoric shark. It makes total sense.
Do you think this could take down The Shallows at the Oscars? Though?
I don't know about that. I mean, you got Blake Lively is going to sweep the Oscars this year with her movie The Shallows, which is about a great white surrounding her on a buoy, and then that's going to kind of be the premise. Then we take a leap forward or backwards with the prehistoric shark. The title Meg is something I can't wait to see this poster. How do you write the word Meg and make it sound intimidating? Because I hear Meg, and I don't think about a Carcanon Megalodon. I think about Meg from Family Guy. So how are you going to make the name Meg intimidating to me, or do you change that title eventually?
With this image right here, put Meg anywhere on that poster, bam, and it's for free.
I don't know that most people are aware of what a megalodon is, though. Like everybody, you hear Jaws, and you're like, yeah, that sounds like a lot of teeth. But like a megalodon, not a lot of people know what that is.
well, they should take a book out of Batman v Superman. Just call it like Jason Statham versus a giant prehistoric shark. And then how many people are going to see that versus a movie just called Meg?
I mean, I'm seeing it either way, but
Okay.
I can't wait for this.
All right, what's next?
A film about LA's most famous magic club, Magic Castle, has been in the works for a few years now. For those unfamiliar with the private club in Hollywood, it hosts magicians and their guests in the headquarters of the Academy of Magic Arts Incorporated. Now, according to a report in The Hollywood Reporter, the Magic Castle movie has gained a little momentum, with Ridley Scott's Scott-Free Productions signing on to help usher the movie on the big screen. Scott-Free Productions will team with Radar Pictures to produce the feature and will soon begin talking to potential studios to partner for a release. Dennis, buy or sell a Magic Castle movie with Ridley Scott producing?
I'm intrigued by this just because I visited the Magic Castle. It's a really cool place.
You've been in it?
Yeah, I've been in it.
Oh, wow.
fancy.
It's pretty cool. I'm gonna sell it though. I mean, I not until I get to hear what the story premise is. Is this gonna be like a Now You See Me, or if they kind of go more of like make it like some sort of like murder mystery with some magic, then I'll buy it. But for now, I don't know exactly what they're gonna make out of it. Perri?
I'm buying it for now, mainly because McG is not making it anymore, and also because I'm fascinated by magic. I'm kind of one of those people who, like, even though I'm having fun at a magic show, I have a really nasty look on my face because it frustrates me to no end that I can't figure out how they do stuff. So I sit there like this until like they whip out my card or something, and I'm like, yeah, can I keep it? Like when you write your name on it. I'm a sucker for stuff like that. But my main thing with this movie, which will further down the line, if we find out this is happening, cause me to sell it, is if it's got a fantastical quality. I mean, maybe that'll work. I can't really say that that's an impossible thing, but I want a movie that shows real magic. And yeah, use camera tricks to make the sleight of hand look good on screen, but I don't want any magic like a la Harry Potter. I want real magic tricks that I could focus on like that.
So illusionist.
Well,
style.
yeah, like what I don't want to spoil anything for a movie that, some people might not have seen, but there's a movie recently that came out about magic, and it does something in the third act that really kind of took me out of the movie and made me not like it as much as I did in the beginning.
Now you see that movie?
Fail.
I'm going to buy this premise because the Magic Castle is way too creepy for them not to make a murder mystery about it. That's got to be what this thing is.
I hope
right?
so.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been to the Magic Castle. I drive by it all the time. It's in Hollywood. It's actually on Hollywood Boulevard, like Hollywood and La Brea area. And Dennis, I don't know how you got in there. I thought it was like such a hard exclusive thing to get in. There's like a dress code.
There is a dress code. You have to buy dinner. It was actually for a friend's birthday party, and she had met, like, if you meet or talk to any of the magicians, they can invite you.
You got to know a magic guy.
Our friend Roth Cornett over at HitFix, she actually got invited to the Magic Castle by Neil Patrick Harris.
Whoa.
She did an interview with him, and she mentioned that she had never been to the Magic Castle, and he's part of that whole group, and so she got an invite. So
wow.
So all you got to do is go hunt down Neil Patrick Harris. And ask him.
I either got to get Doogie House or I got to get dressed up and buy a really fancy, expensive dinner. Like I'm really intrigued by magic too. It does freak me out. It frustrates me sometimes. So I've never been that big into it. But the Magic Castle is something. I think there's a lot of cool things you could explore in there. I tend to trust a guy like Ridley Scott, and maybe I need to go. We should do a field trip to Magic Castle.
I would go in a heartbeat.
Yeah, like I know that it's a bunch of different little rooms and
Yes.
different magicians
That's
doing
what I
different
love about
tricks, but it's built on a hill, so you can tell there's like underground dungeons probably where they keep like prisoners and stuff.
Sloth
yeah.
from Goonies.
There's a lot of things going weird at Magic Castle. I bet they have the paintings with the eyes that move as you
They have secret doors. I was watching some news reports where news reporters actually went in there and got a behind the scenes look to an extent, and they have like sliding doors everywhere. I would love that kind of
Occasionally they
thing.
do stand up there. Maybe I got to call my agent.
Seriously, you
We
got to
go
get
there,
in and
you'll
bring us all.
You'll just pick up one of the mics and just start performing.
I might do a set at Magic Castle. If I do a set at Magic Castle, everybody at Collider's invited.
Natasha, are you interested in this movie at all? Have you been to Magic Castle?
I've never been to the Magic Castle, but all I know about it is just, maybe there's some like creepy LA guys that invite girls to go to the Magic Castle. Maybe that's what the story's about. That's all I know about it, so I stay far away from that place.
That's a very different movie than what I was picturing.
Yeah, but I mean, it seems interesting. I'm cool with magic. What's that one movie? Is it The Prestige? That's like all about I would love
really
to see
good
something
movie.
like
Yes.
that. So yeah, we'll see.
All right. What's next?
Okay, according to a report from Variety, it looks like Warren Beatty is interested in making a sequel to Dick Tracy. After receiving an award at CinemaCon, Beatty was asked about the potential sequel, with Beatty confirming one in development. Producer Arnon Milchan, producer of Beatty's latest Howard Hughes biopic, was a little more specific, confirming the sequel has been discussed that it could be completed within 2 years. Perri, buy or sell Dick Tracy Part 2?
I'm selling it just because I've never seen Dick Tracy Part 1
Wow.
or anything that came before it. So I mean, I just kind of don't care. But I almost want it to happen just for Warren Beatty's sake, just because he went through that whole legal drama with it and finally got the rights. And he's been talking about it for so long, the poor guy. And he hasn't directed a movie, I think, since Bulworth. What was that, like late 90s?
Mm-hmm.
It's about time he gets to direct something. I don't know if he directed the one that's coming out later this year.
There's a Howard Hughes biopic that he's been
the
working
untitled
on.
Howard Hughes biopic. It's coming out in the fall, I think, which has a great cast. All right, I want him to make it because he's worked so hard to get these rights back. But like, I'm much more excited for that movie coming out, which has a killer cast. It's got like Alan Baldwin, Alden Ehrenreich, who we need to be seeing more of right now in case he does get cast in a certain role. So I want to see what he's capable of. And it's probably also worth noting that even though the guy from New Regency, the owner of New Regency, said that he thinks it could be completed in 2 years,
Right.
Warren Beatty was quoted as saying something like, he's serious about it, but he's slow. He's slow about these things. So they contradict each other. So even if they are considering doing this, who knows when we'll get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell this as well. I didn't really care for the movie. I remember seeing it when I was younger. I liked the look of it and the feel of it, but I didn't care for the movie. I actually ended up liking. I went to Disneyland and they had kind of a live kind of, stage version of it where you kind of sit down and watch them perform. I actually like that more than the movie, so that tells you something. Yeah, in two years, no way. There's no way that a Dick Tracy movie is coming out in 2 years. Mark?
Yeah, it's a sell for me. I do not care about Dick Tracy at all. I remember it was so popular. The movie did very well when it came out, and I was a little kid, and so we wanted to go see this popular movie everybody was talking about, and I just did not get it. I mean, a lot of it went over my head because I was so little, but it's also like, I just think it's a dated comic book strip from a different time, and it just doesn't translate into an audience what they would want to see today. I get you can go back and have like a classic feel to it, and it's very comic book worldy. It felt a lot like Tim Burton's Batman in a different universe, and I just don't know why you would want to focus on this. Like if Warren Beatty grew up reading Dick Tracy, that's awesome, but it's just like the dude looks like Curious George's handler. He doesn't look like
gosh, he does.
just anything that I'd care about seeing in a movie. And maybe if they make it, like we always say, hey, maybe there's not an audience for this on the big screen, you can do like a Netflix or a Hulu thing with it, like make it a small screen series that could be a little more interesting. I just don't know that there's any appetite at the box office for another Dick Tracy movie.
Yeah. All right, guys. Now on to our weekly portion where we talk about the box office predictions, brought to you by our friends at AMC Theaters. This is where we try and predict what the top 5 movies of this weekend are. Perri, what do you got?
I got this. Number 1 is definitely The Jungle Book because it's incredible and it's going to make a lot of money no matter what. I'm sure they're hoping for a Cinderella-size opening for that one. Barbershop, the next cut, is going to be at number 2. I know it's been a really long time since we've seen a barbershop movie, but I don't think it's going to be a lack of interest problem. I think people are going to be really excited to see the band get back together. 3, I'm going with The Boss, and then 4, Batman v Superman. Batman v Superman is losing more theaters than The Boss, so I think that's going to keep The Boss afloat. And then for number 5, I'm doing Zootopia over Criminal. I don't think Criminal can make any more than like $7-8 million. And even though The Jungle Book is coming out, I still think that there's going to be some overflow, and it's going to keep Zootopia in good shape for another week.
All right, my list is pretty similar to yours. I definitely have Jungle Book as number 1. That's going to open huge. Everyone loves it. I don't know, is it still 100% on Rotten Tomatoes? Or has
That's
it dropped?
close.
Or maybe it's 99 or 98%.
I think it was actually 91. When we did morning radio yesterday, I think it was 91.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Barbershop, I have number 2. I actually put Batman v Superman at number 3. I'm just thinking that maybe the word of mouth for The Boss, like it got terrible reviews. I just don't see a lot of people coming back for that. So I put The Boss at 4 instead, and then Zootopia at number 5. Mark?
Yeah, I think that the Boss and Batman v Superman were so close. It was so tight last week that I think Batman v Superman does overtake The Boss. So at number 5, I'm going to have Criminal. I think that edges out Zootopia. At number 4, I'm going to have The Boss. Number 3, I got Batman v Superman. At 2, I have Barbershop. And at number 1, I have the Jason Statham shark movie. Read that wrong. That is The Jungle Book. It is going to be number 1. So I think we all know what number 1 is going to be. It's a matter of who's going to fight it out for 2 through 5.
All right. Now we're on to our mailbag segment. Before that, I want to remind you that we're going to take your live Twitter questions at the end of the show. You can tweet us at Collider Video. But first, what's the first mailbag, Natasha?
Jason Smith writes, "Hi crew, I was wondering, what is your favorite Brad Pitt movie? Mine is a toss-up between Fight Club and Legends of the Fall. Keep up the great work and bring the filthy."
Mark, what's your favorite Brad Pitt movie?
Despite what you may think, Dennis, I'm not a Cool World guy. I am a Moneyball guy. I think that might be my favorite Brad Pitt performance of all time. I'm a big baseball fan. I like the way that they incorporated the true story of Billy Beane and how he was this promising baseball player, and it didn't work out for him then. So he takes a lot of that revenge factor into him being a general manager, and I thought it was a brilliantly made movie. So it's one of my favorite Brad Pitt ones. The other one I'll throw in there is 12 Monkeys, because that was the first time I saw Brad Pitt on screen, and I'm like, oh, this guy's more than just a pretty face. He actually can put a really unique spin on a performance, so that upped him a notch for me.
Perri?
I could go for the obvious and say Fight Club, but I have to say Inglourious Bastards, because not only do I think that he kills it in that movie, he owns that role so much, but that's one of my favorite Tarantino movies. It was my number 1 movie of 2009. I watch it on repeat all the time. Missed out on the poster, but I managed to snag a prop from that movie that I'm very proud of, and I just love that to death. But lately I've been watching a lot of Fury and World War Z, and I know both movies have issues, but he is really good. Even if a movie that he's in isn't good, I mean, I've really never seen a bad Brad Pitt performance, ever, actually. I mean, can you think of a single one?
No, I mean, he's kind of like Tom Cruise in that way, where I think he's underrated as an actor because he is a movie star, like Tom Cruise is, and he always puts in 100% into the roles, even if the movies themselves aren't the greatest. For me, it's between Fight Club and 12 Monkeys, but I'll probably go with Fight Club, though I do think his best performance, though, is in Assassination of Jesse James. I think he did a wonderful job there. But in terms of what my favorite movie that he's actually in, Fight Club. But he's had some pretty good performance, like in True Romance as the roommate. It's a small role, but he's pretty good in that.
I thought he was pretty good in The Big Short, also in a really small role. I mean, he barely gets any screen time in that movie, but I totally bought him in that part. And he's also really good at, he's Brad Pitt. He's one of the most famous guys out there, but he can lose himself, whether he's got, a full face of facial hair or not. I can lose the star power in most of his performances.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in the chat room are saying Fury, which came out recently, which he was great in.
Fury is on TV all the time now.
Is it really?
I must have watched it, and it doesn't matter, because when the movie first came out, I wasn't that high on it, but now that it's on TV, every single time it's on, no matter what point it started at, for me, whenever I turn it on, I watch it till the end. Every time.
Yeah, Ocean's 11 is another one that's so endlessly rewatchable for me. And he adds, I can't put my finger on exactly what it is, but he adds a certain element to that movie that you just don't have without Brad Pitt eating something in every scene in that film.
A lot of people in the chat room are mentioning Seven as well.
Yeah.
He was great in that.
Yeah.
All right, Natasha, what's your favorite Brad Pitt movie?
I love Benjamin Button, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I do.
Old man disease.
Yeah, I love this story. I thought it was one of the most unique stories that I'd ever seen. And yeah, I love him and Kate Blanchett together.
I never saw that movie. So he starts out and he's a baby, but he looks like Yoda, right?
Yes.
So he's just like an old
Yes.
man, and
He's
then
like
he ages, and then so like right when he looks like a little kid, he's about to die.
Yes.
That's freaky, man.
It's so weird.
Yeah,
but
I don't
it's a
want to
great
even
movie.
touch that, but that just sounds weird. I don't want to watch that happen. No.
All right,
right.
what's next?
Daniel Shatford writes, "Hey guys, I watch every day and night. I wanted to ask you if the DC universe is doomed to fail. I don't mean financially. With DC, you have arguably the 2, maybe 3 of the biggest superheroes of all time. There's no way you could replace them in the Justice League. Whereas with Marvel right now, they have Cap and Iron Man, which yes, are huge draws, but Marvel has brought through so many characters and are still to introduce characters who could take over after Infinity War. Thor, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Star-Lord, Captain Marvel, and Spider-Man. So I guess my question is, are DC's big 3 just too big? Will they always have to be around the Justice League?
I don't think you need all 3 as part of the Justice League, but you need probably at least one of them in whatever iteration later on. People forget, though, Iron Man was not a big character. People did not know who Iron Man was when he came out. Now he's huge because Robert Downey Jr. killed it, and they made some good movies. And now him and I feel like Captain America now are like the two main guys in the MCU. But even Captain America, wasn't. I mean, he was more well known than Iron Man, but even still, he wasn't like a Spider-Man or the Hulk or a Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman level. So I don't think they can create characters and build them up in like a Green Lantern or like a Aquaman or Cyborg. They can make those guys into bigger things with bigger followings, and so I don't think you have to have all three there all the time. Perri?
Yeah, doomed to fail is a really scary phrase. I don't think we can apply that here at all, but I do like that this question kind of examines the potential of the DC cinematic universe, or what are they calling it? DC extended universe.
Yes.
That's no cinematic universe here. I like that it's examining that from the perspective of the characters and not necessarily box office or critical reception. It's just refreshing to think of it that way. But yeah, I mean, same thing pretty much with what you said. We're at the beginning of this right now. They need time to give some of these other characters their solo movies. And then we also have to remember that even though some of us are really intense fans and know the source materials, these movies need to be for the widest audience possible. So until we introduce these characters to everybody in their own movie, it's kind of hard to predict how much this can go.
Yeah.
Mark, is DC, the universe, just destined to fail?
I don't think the universe is destined to fail simply because you do have that big now 3. Like, Batman's always been my favorite comic book character. You show anybody a picture of Batman, they know who it is. Same thing with Superman. And I think for the most part, same thing with Wonder Woman, because she was one of the best, if not the best part of Batman versus Superman. And that standalone movie, everything we've heard about that seems to be pretty positive so far. So as far as making a Justice League film without any of the big 3, that sounds a little trepidatious. I'd be nervous about that. I don't think, as much as I love Batman, I don't think you need Batman in every Justice League movie. I do think you need the presence of Wonder Woman and Superman simply because they're so powerful. And I go back to some of the smaller complaints I would have about a standalone Marvel movie where it's like, well, where is Iron Man? Where is Hulk? Like, are they just not hanging out with Cap on this particular adventure? Do they not care about Hawkeye when he's back home with his wife? Like, I think that you need Superman in every Justice League movie. I do. I think that's essential to have. Standalone movies, you can still build out the universe. They don't necessarily have to be charter members of the Justice League. I think a Lobo film is very intriguing. So DC has a lot of options they have. But the nice, kind of worst case scenario for DC is that they always can make a Superman movie. They can always reboot it. You can always reboot Batman. From now on, you can reboot Wonder Woman eventually, and you're going to make movies that make money. It's just a matter of every other character and if they can also get a big audience.
All right. That's it for Mailbag. Now on to your live Twitter questions. You can tweet us at Collider Video. Natasha, what do you got picked out?
Gary Richardson asks, has anyone told James Cameron that Star Wars owns Christmas? Wouldn't this seriously hurt Avatar box office?
If I remember correctly, didn't they move at least the second one to a later date?
Yeah, the second one moved off Christmas, the same way that Ready Player One did. It's like Christmas is a very precarious time to open a big budget movie not named Star Wars.
Yeah, so I don't know how the other ones line up, but maybe... there's room for both of them. It just I wouldn't put it anywhere near Star Wars. At least maybe put it like a few weeks before it.
I guess that'd be the only option. The thing is with Avatar, with the first movie, I can't remember specifically what it opened against, but I feel like it wasn't much of anything. And then on top of that, Avatar also had like a free run after it, which is why it made so much money, because nothing big was standing in its way.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge opening. I think it only made $80 million opening weekend, but it just every weekend it just kept getting going and going. The drop off wasn't there.
Right, that's what everybody was saying about The Force Awakens, why it's not going to break box office records, because well, look at Avatar, that opened at Christmas, and Christmas movies just don't open well. I smell a March or an April opening for Avatar movies going forward. I think that makes the most sense. There isn't a lot of competition, at least in the huge blockbuster realm yet, because you're not into summer movies, and Avatar can just kind of own a few weeks, a lot like what Batman versus Superman just did.
All right. What's another one?
Travis Mitchell asks, do you think Marvel is building Doctor Strange to be the new face of the MCU, with Robert Downey Jr. probably only having a few movies left?
Personally, I don't think so. I think the character is cool, but I just don't think it has a mass appeal. I think Captain America is the next one. I think he already has started to become the next face of the MCU after Iron Man.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we could predict something like that until we see more of Doctor Strange and see how it does at the box office. I mean, if that movie blows everybody away, maybe they'll start pushing him in that direction and have him in the spotlight a little more. But at this point, I think we need to see how Doctor Strange does.
Yeah, I don't care what kind of doctor he is. I just don't see him being the face of the MCU going forward. And I haven't seen Civil War yet. As you know, I haven't seen Infinity Wars, obviously. But after that happens, there's going to be some superheroes that probably die. There's going to be some other ones that come rising out of the ashes. So whether it's Black Panther or whether it's Thor or whether it's Doctor Strange, we are going to have to wait and see. Doctor Strange would be the guy I do not bet on to be leading the MCU. I think the movie looks great. I just don't think it's going to be the guy that's like, oh, yeah, this is our flagship Marvel franchise. If anybody, it might be Spider-Man.
All right, what's next?
Alpha Diallo asks, "Hey crew, what do you think of Zack Snyder doing the cinematography while Affleck directs the Batman? Perfect collab?"
I mean, Zack Snyder, he has his own different cinematographers. He just changed the one that he had. I forgot. Larry Fong, I think, was his cinematographer for Batman v Superman, but he changed cinematographers for Justice League. So. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, visually he's great, but I don't know his skills as a cinematographer.
That sounds like a weird type of collaboration, too. I can't imagine being a director on a movie and then having someone else have such a heavy say in my visuals, especially when Zack Snyder's visuals are so distinct.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where you hear director and we don't want him directing the movie, so let's just demote him to cinematographer. But it doesn't really work like that.
Yeah.
It's like saying, oh, I don't love the way you're an artist with comics, but we'll just let you be the inker. It's like, no, it's a different. A lot of it crosses over. The Venn diagram of director and cinematographer have a lot of overlap, but I don't know that Zack Snyder would be the guy for the reasons that Perri pointed out too. It's like, I don't know that Ben Affleck wants somebody like that breathing over his neck making his movie. Let Ben Affleck decide who his cinematographer is going to be.
The only person I've ever heard of kind of doing that was Steven Soderbergh for, I think, Magic Mike XXL. I think he shot that instead of directing it.
I believe that's true. Yeah,
but that's the only case I've ever heard
but
of that.
he does a lot of work as a cinematographer. I mean, has Zack Snyder done just cinematography?
Not that
on
I know
anything?
of.
Yeah, and I don't hate the idea of Zack Snyder consulting on the Batman. Like, I do love his visual flair. I think he's got a lot of qualities as a filmmaker, but I just don't want him being the director or necessarily even the cinematographer. But if he's giving notes as far as action set pieces and stuff, I could be on board for that.
All right, what's next?
Noah Villaverde asks, "Hey guys, what do you think about the whitewash in Doctor Strange and Ghost in the Shell?"
It's interesting. I mean, with the Scarlett Johansson one in Ghost in the Shell, it's kind of one of those things where they wanted to get a star. It's tough because it's like you want to be true to the source material, but at the same time you want a star. And Scarlett Johansson at least has been proven to be a star. What gets me the most is sometimes when they do kind of the whitewash thing and they stick in someone that really isn't. I always bring up this one, Exodus, Gods and Kings, because like I love Joel Edgerton. He is not a big star. People don't know who he is. So, like, having him in that role just didn't make any sense to me. It didn't make sense on a financial level.
Well, it's the same thing with Tilda Swinton. Like I think
she's not a huge
Tilda
star.
Swinton's awesome, but I'm not going to see she's not opening a weekend the way that Scarlett Johansson would. So I understand putting Scarlett Johansson in there more. Personally, I don't know the Doctor Strange source material, so I can't get that upset about having Tilda Swinton looking like a conehead dentist versus having somebody else in there. So Scarlett Johansson, she's a huge star. She opened Lucy, guys. So if she opens a good movie, it could do boffo box office.
Same thing with Gods of Egypt here too. I mean, it's just this topic keeps coming up every other week, it seems like. After Oscars, this is all I'm thinking about, all I'm hearing about. But for me in particular, I mean, I don't know Ghost in the Shell. I don't know the Doctor Strange source material. So what I see there is what it is. So it looks right to me because I have no reference point. But, I mean, this is clearly an issue that should be fixed when it can, because you make a good point. A movie is doomed to fail if nobody cares about the material, nobody knows any of the names. I mean, it's a business. You got to play the game to some respect.
I mean, a lot of people in the chat room are saying Emma Stone and Aloha. Like,
that was terrible. That was terrible. That was absolutely terrible.
I forgot about that. I literally left Aloha. I tried to forget about the whole movie, but I particularly just forgot that thing ever happened. It's so ridiculous.
And that movie was terrible. I mean, the thing is, even that wasn't even the worst part of the movie. And Tilda Swinton might be great in Doctor Strange. I'm not saying she's not, but it's just kind of curious. All right, what's next?
Danzig 1979 asks, apparently the absence of Star Trek Beyond from CinemaCon is a talking point with press. It's out in less than 3 months.
Yes, I mean, if they don't have any more footage to show you, sorry, you got to pay to see the movie.
Or maybe
right?
they're saving it. Didn't Frosty get an exclusive about like how they're going to drop the trailer at a fan event or something like that?
I believe he did. I don't remember the specifics of the story, but I believe he has that.
So they're probably saving it, I guess, for maybe a Star Trek fan event.
You don't need to throw that at CinemaCon either. Like it's still the property is still called Star Trek. It's not like something like John Wick or even Suicide Squad where people may not know right off the bat what a Suicide Squad is or how it ties into a larger DC universe. But you hear the name Star Trek, theater owners are going to be excited. There's a Star Trek movie coming out. I hope the next trailer, whenever they drop it, wherever they drop it, is better than the last one. I personally didn't hate it, but I want Star Trek fans to be able to celebrate their own franchise again.
It's amazing how many of us don't go to CinemaCon, yet so much debuts there and so much news is announced. I feel like if they had done anything there, even though it's Star Trek, it could have gotten swallowed up in the mass.
Possibly, yeah. You got this Avatar announcements. We had John Wick and a bunch of others.
It just seems like a major game of one studio upping the other, and it's not stopping.
Well, the Batman Solo confirmation came from CinemaCon as well. There was just a lot of stuff.
And CinemaCon it's like a convention for theater owners and like their shareholders and stuff. So what we need to do, Dennis, between now and next year, we need to do just like some rinky-dink theater. We'll do like a dollar theater. Yeah. So we're technically theater owners now, and we can all go to Vegas, party, and see this footage.
Isn't that going to be your apartment with the screening room? Like you're just gonna do that and then charge people to come in and we'll just call it a theater, right?
I don't hate that idea. It puts a lot of pressure on me because now I'm not just having my friends over. Now I have to have strangers in my apartment, which I've done before, but that's going to be, if I don't know you personally, $15 a ticket. 10 for Perri and Natasha, 20 for Dennis because he made fun of my idea.
All right, let's do 2 more.
Emil Johansson asks, what is better, praise from critics but hatred from fans, or the opposite?
I think we need to stop making the distinction between critics and fans. Critics can be fans too. It's like all the Batman v Superman stuff. Oh, you're a critic. Of course you don't like it. That has nothing to do with anything at all. Or at least it doesn't for me personally when I review anything.
Yeah, and also you can love Marvel and DC. It's crazy. It's crazy, but you can.
Critics can be fans and fans can be critical, but if you have to take one or the other, I would always take the love of fans over critics.
Go look at the Collider.com Facebook page. Brian put up a really funny image of our Marvel check.
Oh,
I saw that. It was hilarious.
It made me laugh out loud.
The $3.
Yep.
$3.
We make the big bucks here.
Yes.
You made $3? What's that like?
All right, last one.
Okay, Britton Dowers asks, is Jungle Book worth seeing in 3D? Looks like the upcharge might be worth it for this film. Usually don't like 3D.
I cannot judge because I did see it in 3D. The problem was our seats were, if you guys been to El Capitan, right?
Not yet.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You've been to El Capitan. So it's not really made for movies. It's made for actual, like live performances,
like organists and stuff.
Yeah, and so I'm sitting at the top in the corner, and so the 3D-ness of the movie isn't showing through. So for me, I can't judge.
I had pretty good seats at El Capitan, so I would definitely recommend seeing this. Whatever theater you usually go to, do the IMAX or the Prime or the 3D, whatever. The most expensive way to see this movie is the best way to see it, because just watching the animals, like you want to feel like you're immersed in this fake world that does not look fake at all. You think you're in the jungle, and 3D is only going to enhance that for you. So yeah, it's definitely worth the upcharge. I don't always say go see 3D movies, but for Jungle Book, make the exception.
I didn't see it in 3D. I saw Jungle Book in Prime here, and Prime, oh my God.
Yes.
Whether it's Jungle Book or anything, I want to go in that theater every single time I see a movie. But for this movie in particular, those visuals, I mean, that is something. And the sound, so to see it in a proper theater like that, oh my God, it's one of the most immersive things I've seen in a long time.
I mean, I was even telling people, like, you don't need to see Star Wars The Force Awakens in 3D. I don't know that you need to see like even a Batman or a Marvel movie in 3D, but you do need to see Jungle Book in 3D, and you definitely need to see the Jason Statham Karkanon Megalodon movie Meg in 3D, 4D if they have it by then.
Natasha, did you watch Jungle Book in 3D?
No, not in 3D. I watched it last night, but I'm not a fan of 3D either. Okay. It gives me a headache. But when I was watching it last night, I was like, man, I really wish we bought the 3D tickets because I could just tell. I mean, it looked beautiful already, but I could just tell if it was 3D, it would be so much more of a better experience.
A more immersive experience.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's it for today's episode. I want to thank the people joining us at the table. Perri, where can people find you?
You guys can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at Nemiroff, and I'll be here a lot more.
Yay.
Mark?
Later today, Dennis, huge epic showdown called the Schmodown, the movie trivia Schmodown. We have Josh McCouga, the Wild Man, going up against Clark Wolf. That's going to be a barn burner. And next week we have Schnepp versus Finstock. That one's going to get hairy, literally. And you guys can find me this weekend, tonight and tomorrow night. I'll be at the world famous Comedy Store right here in Southern California. You can get tickets at markellislive.com.
Natasha, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at NatashaAlexis_, Facebook / Natasha Martinez, and on our brand new Collider News segment.
Hey.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, on Instagram, Dennis.tzeng. And also tomorrow and Sunday, me, Christian, and Wendy are on Collider Mailbag, answering your viewer questions. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Collider Videos. And we'll see you guys next week.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.